in her first 12 months in the business, she did 50 sides.
Rookie real estate rock star.
That is ridiculous, by the way.
Woke up one day and I actually just quit my job on my birthday and
Wow.
went right into school, and then just focused. I went all in.
So welcome to another episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast. I am Bryan Lovell here with an amazing co-host, Mr. John Jones. What's up, buddy? How are you
doing?
I'm amazing. It's the day that we're recording this. It is the start of the 2021-2022 NFL season, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Dallas Cowboys tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
So we have a special guest with us. I'm going to introduce real quick Alison Martinez. Alison, tell us real quick, who are you with?
I'm with Serenity Realty.
Serenity Realty, and where are you from?
Northwest Ohio. I'm actually licensed in Northwest Ohio and Southeastern Michigan. I live in Point Place, which is right on the line.
Okay.
But yeah, I belong to a newer brokerage.
Okay.
They've been around about 3 years. We got about 100 agents.
Wow. You guys are growing pretty fast. So John, I met Alison. I was at a golf event
A few weeks back
in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And
she hustled you, probably took some money from you.
Yeah, that was the first time I played golf in like 2.5 years.
All right.
So
you say that every time, but we golfed last year together. Come on.
And I think my thing with my golf game is like I don't have the patience for it. So like I played really great for probably 4 or 5 holes. It's funny. I'm like Brad King told me yesterday he's a 13-holer, and that made sense.
That's
I'm
right.
good for 13 holes. But anyways, getting back to Alison. So we're having this conversation, and I learned that in her first 12 months in the business, she did 50 sides.
Rookie real estate rock star. That's incredible.
That is ridiculous, by the way. So immediately, what the next words out of my mouth were, well, you got to be on our podcast.
Yeah.
So thanks for the opportunity to jam with us a little bit here. We just want to share a little bit with our listeners, our viewers too. You know, our podcast is primarily loan originator and real estate agent focused. So the folks who are going to be watching are definitely like waiting on bated breath to hear how you did that in your first year. So to kind of break it down with us a little bit, what do you work primarily with, buyers or sellers? Is it kind of even keeled, a little bit of both?
Definitely more on the buyer side. I'm just now kind of getting into listings. I probably have only done maybe 10.
Okay.
Including what I have like under contract right now. So most of it was buyer side.
Okay. So set up for us real quick.
Let's jump back a little bit. I'm kind of curious, just talking with her. At what point in your career is this isn't your first job, I'm guessing?
Right.
Okay. So what were you doing before? Start us right out of high school, college. Like, what did you start into? And then I'm always curious because, a lot of us that get into the mortgage business and or real estate, we come from another industry.
Yes.
Were you in sales or what was your background?
So what I went to school for originally, I thought I was going to be a nurse, and then I went into social work. But what I ended up doing for probably 15 years is bartending.
Okay.
So it paid really well and it was flexible. I have 2 kids, so it worked better than, any of the other jobs that I had. And I really liked it. So that's what I did before.
Okay.
So those 2 things are exactly why somebody gets into the mortgage business and real estate.
Yes.
They want flexibility with schedule and they want the opportunity to make money.
Yep.
So coming right from bartending, you at some point decided I'm going to go for it and start preparing to get your license.
Yeah, like I've always had like a knack for sales. So any job that I did have, like I would always like do really well. But I've always had kind of like a problem with, because you kind of get roped into selling people things that they don't need.
Sure.
So when I, was introduced to real estate from one of my friends who got her license, I'm like, this is genius. Like everybody needs a house. It's always going to appreciate. You're always going to be doing somebody a favor by selling them a house. So I really like that part of it. I bought my first house when I was 19.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
I knew so little. It like blows my mind. So that kind of, added to why I wanted to go into real estate, because there's so much. I mean, it's for some people, it's very easy. They can just decide one day, they have the credit and the assets to go purchase a house, but they don't know anything about it. Other people need a lot of like guidance. And, I felt for my experience that I kind of just like dove into it and really didn't know what I was doing. So
you just basically jumped in with both feet.
yeah.
No net, right?
So what did
Yeah,
like
I
take us?
literally, I thought about it for a long time, and I would watch YouTubes, follow podcasts,
Okay.
and I knew I wanted to do it, and I just kept putting it off because I think 2 weeks of school is what it like takes, but it's
Yes.
actually a very difficult
Yeah.
test, and everybody just kept telling me like there's no way. I worked a ton, so I like woke up one day and I actually just quit my job on my birthday and
Wow.
went right into school, and then just focused. I went all in.
Okay. So you went all in, like you didn't do kind of bartending still on the side and
I did
okay.
end up I ended up getting a job at a yacht club. I live in Point Place. There's a ton of yacht clubs. And I do love bartending. If I didn't get so busy right away in real estate, I would still be doing it because I did really like it. And I mean, that's how I got my first listing, was just a bar regular. So it went, hand in hand pretty well. But so I did end up when I first got started.
That's a great transition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, instead of diving
Yeah.
straight in, gives you a little net.
So you were sharing with us about, let's call it 75, 80% of your business in that first year was buy side. Where
Yes.
were you getting these buyers from?
Honestly, most of my buyers were internet leads.
Okay.
So through Zillow or realtor.com.
Okay. So you were purchasing leads through one of those sources.
Yeah, actually that's what I do now. When I first got started, I actually started with Serenity.
Okay.
And I started networking. Like I was following, what all the podcasts and everybody said to do, like, meet everybody, give them your card, add them on social media. I ended up getting recruited by a top agent at a different brokerage. So
Okay.
I met him. We were at an event. He had me just literally answer a Zillow call for him. And I ended up putting that call, like I put him under contract the next day.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up, and I was searching for guidance and I really wasn't getting it.
Sure.
There's so much that goes into real estate that when I met him and that happened, I switched to a different brokerage, and then basically that was like my mentor. So how I started was doing the internet leads, what I'm doing now, but I was actually doing them through like referrals. So
Okay.
he's probably like out of like 2,000 agents in this area, he's probably like in the top 10 of them.
Okay.
So he had like he would get a lot of leads, and then he just kept throwing them to me, like, and I just kept, getting stuff on.
My guess is a big listing agent.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big buyer's agent too.
Okay.
So he actually, I think he does more buyer side
transactions and listings.
Yeah. But I mean, he does a lot of listings too.
So one of the things I find this interesting, the lead-based model. And I think one of the challenges that always arises with that is, these leads come in, some of them are good, some of them are bad. And then, how do you weed that out? And then when you got the good, how do you convert them? Alison, you got any ideas on kind of what I just shared? Like, you got this influx of them. How do you weed what's good, what's not? And then how do you stay in front of them so that you actually convert them to where you're working with them?
Yeah, honestly, it's always a gamble. Like every time you get a lead, you don't know, could be a dead end or it could go somewhere. I mean, I try to just, initially like get as much out of, that initial phone call or that first showing to see, pre-qualify them, get them pre-approved, to see if they're even able to. And then, I mean, I kind of relate it to customer service. Like once I kind of know if I can get in front of them, I'm going to have them. I don't ever make anybody sign, a contract with me. Because I feel like it's all on customer service. So
Sure.
But as soon as I get a lead and I'm able to get in front of them, I'm always very, confident that it's going to be, but I mean, you don't ever know. I mean, things change. I mean, people, like, you'll be working with them and their job will change, their whole,
Yeah,
like,
their
Their
situation changes
expectations
or
of what's
yeah,
out
you don't
there.
know. It's hard because you really don't know
yeah.
if you're, wasting time or.
So what was the date that you started in the business, the year and month? Just curious. Like was it
Um,
before COVID or just in that time period?
right, like in COVID. So I
Okay.
got licensed in June
Okay.
last year. And then I kind of like I just did a lot of training at the beginning. So so those 50 sites that I closed actually it was just a year ago that I closed my first deal. So it was like beginning of August. I had changed over brokerages and then and then since then have done like
Yeah.
50
So
sites.
a year ago in June, were you able to meet in person with clients and actually show property, or how was it in Ohio for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly, real estate's been really convenient, I feel like. I mean, it's easy to social distance, it's as far as COVID, a lot of agents, I think, stopped working. So it's kind of a good time to start. But
Great point.
I mean, we were in Ohio, we never really stopped. Michigan kind of slowed down a little bit.
Mhm.
But I mean, it was nothing really changed too much
Yeah, we didn't
from.
we
I
didn't
mean, I
stop
didn't
here
really
in
didn't know
Florida
anything.
either.
What was that,
Yeah.
Allison?
I said, well, I don't really know, like, what, comparing it, but
Yeah,
I would,
you don't know any
yeah,
different, right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because we heard like reports during that time of
Some stopped working.
yes, well, some stopped working, and then you've got some who, they were selling houses sight unseen. Buyers buying houses sight unseen,
Virtual
doing
tours.
virtual tours or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty incredible. Wow,
Curious how the market is there now. Last June, so the market started to rock like by fall and in early spring. What's the inventory situation where you're at, and how competitive is it when you're making offers? Are you going over list price, I'm assuming, like Florida and most states?
Yeah, I would say, for the transactions that I have, I would say almost all of them have gone 10 grand over
Okay.
ask. Our inventory has just been low, from, what I've studied, it's just been dropping before, interest rates drop. So, I bought a house, the last time I purchased a house was 5 or 6 years ago, and it was crazy then. And it's just even more crazy now. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown, but it's
Okay.
still
Yeah.
going over asking price, still on.
Still more than one offer at a time. Yeah, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gone are the
Yeah.
good days where you could slowly, spend a day and
Yeah. Well,
digest a.
I know. I can't even imagine that, honestly. Like, and that's what a lot of people tell me. They're like, if you can get through this time, everybody asks me, like, isn't it a great time to be in real estate? I mean, obviously, only being a year in, I don't have much to compare it to, but I imagine I'm
Stressful.
showing a lot more houses than, people did a few years ago, because every single house that my buyer puts an offer on, there's 10 other people trying to buy that same house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we write a lot of offers, and I mean, it's probably a lot more work right now in this market.
I was talking to a real estate agent. John and I, we're in Florida. We're in the Tampa area. And I was talking to a real estate agent here locally just last week, and one of the questions I was asking them is, what are you seeing? Are we starting to get some more inventory? What kind of changes are you seeing in the market? And the way that he described it to me was, I used to put a house on the market on a Thursday, and by the end of the weekend, we had 20 offers, right? And we had to sort through all of those offers and determine what was best for
Right.
the client, right? He said, today we put a house on the market on a Thursday, and by the end of the weekend, we only have 10 offers. Still a lot of offers, on a home. Are you seeing
Way
something
more than usual.
similar to
Yeah,
that?
no, I definitely, like I was saying earlier, I just started doing listings. So, every single house that I've listed has literally sold the first day over asking, with no inspection, like.
Hold the sign.
Yeah. So my last listing that went under contract, it was a week, and I'm like, this is crazy, which, I mean, it's kind of.
Listen,
Which
Allison.
So in that situation in Ohio, when you're listing and they're selling property, what are they doing? Are they upsizing, downsizing, or are they leaving Ohio? Just curious.
When they're selling, honestly, all of mine, actually, yeah, a lot of them were, out of the 10, a few people relocated. A few of my listings were, people's parents that were moving into a nursing home.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I've had any listings that were just, listing to then go by. But I
So,
just started doing listings.
so let me shift the conversation a little bit. And so you've been in real estate now for 15 months. Sounds like you really started actually doing something about 12 months ago. So fast forward a year to where we're at right now. What is different? Like, what did you learn in those 12 months? Like, and where I'm coming from is if I'm a rookie and I'm sitting here saying, well, hey, I'd like to duplicate some of the success that Allison has, is there anything that you did that you're definitely like, man, I should have never done that. That didn't work out for me.
Show property to unqualified buyers.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't think of anything. It's crazy because I remember when like a year ago when I first started doing transactions, I'm like, I hope that, I can't wait to get the hang of it. And I feel like you kind of never really do because every deal is different. I guess, yeah. Sometimes, or I just don't like giving up on clients either. And sometimes you do have to like move on and, it's not always a good match. So I feel like I've probably have wasted some time maybe, but
Okay.
yeah, I guess I can't think of anything that I would do differently.
Okay. How about from like a knowledge or experience perspective? What do you know now that you didn't know then?
Oh my God. Honestly, going into real estate, it's nothing like I imagined. It's crazy because like you kind of study up on it and then you go to school.
The school
Nothing
teaches
you
you
really
goose egg,
nothing.
right? Nothing.
Yeah. I had no clue. I didn't even know about internet leads. There's so much that you don't know. Like you picture it, a certain way and it's completely different. But I would say, yeah, for me, what worked and what I'm so grateful for is like the networking part of it and then finding a mentor because I don't think that you can make it in this business without that. You have to learn from somebody that's doing it because it's just not something you can like read about or study. Like
I 100% agree with you. I think the mentor, for whether you're in real estate or in mortgage,
any sales
I think
job.
if you really want to invest in this full time, that you've got to go that route. And I think like in our business, we see a lot of people get in the business who we call rookies, that most people who get into our business, they jump in with both feet, right? They're full time out of the gate.
Correct.
I think in real estate, we see a lot more folks get into the business and like, hey, I'm not 100% invested, or I'm doing this and this. And so I think, to Allison's point, that mentor is very, very important. Because here's the reality, like if you're not actively doing business, like you're getting left behind. The market is moving and changing so fast. What you knew last month is no longer relevant this month. And I just know for me, I started in the business in April 2007. I didn't have a mentor until about probably October of that year, maybe September, October of that year. I got assigned to somebody who basically mentored me that had a big book of business already. And the biggest opportunity that gave me was I was now doing loans. So before, I was trying to learn how to do loans while also trying to learn where to find the loans. And like the number of deals I turned away because I wasn't a good enough loan officer yet to know how to get them qualified would blow you away. But with that mentor, that no longer happened to me, right? Mm-hmm. But I was also, because I was actively doing business, I was learning how to do the business. And in a year's time, it was a different story.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you've been very fortunate to have leads. Do you have how many agents, just curious, that are at your office?
100. There's 100 agents in Serenity.
Wow. Okay. And does everybody is everybody buying leads, or what's the percentage
Yeah,
there?
I would say, I mean, there are top agents in this area that aren't buying leads, but I would say the majority
Okay.
are. I mean, people like when I first got in it, I mean, there are a lot of people that are, don't believe in buying leads. But I just feel like for where we're at, most people, I mean, I just put a house under contract and his cousin was a realtor and he just didn't want to deal with his family. He felt more comfortable kind of just hiring somebody. And that's kind of what they do through, Zillow and Realtor.
You guys clearly have success with it. We know a lot of folks in the mortgage business specifically, they buy leads, and the success is not nearly what you're having up here in Ohio.
No, I would tell you, like,
I mean, I would continue to buy leads, meaning if
Yes.
you're putting a nickel in and it's spitting out $20.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of
working.
what I took referrals and just saved up money until I could buy my own leads and kind of do my own thing. And it's never not paid off. I mean, I've done very little. I do have a big sphere, so now that's how I'm getting my listings. But I mean, nobody wants to have a realtor that's never sold or bought a house. So, you kind of like, you get to, and the price points that I started in is another thing that I decided when I first signed up with Zillow and Realtor. I wanted to get that first time home buyer because I'm kind of like growing up with my clientele.
Sure.
I don't want to, I didn't feel comfortable selling a house to somebody that's bought, like if they've bought and sold numerous times, they technically have more experience than I do. So it was kind of nice. The zip codes that I bought into were a lot of, younger people, relatable. So, but yeah, I mean, it's always, and then it's great because then you get, you do get referrals and from them too. So
yeah. I think one of the things you just said that I want to go back and highlight because I love this is, you just mentioned that now a lot of your business is starting to come from your sphere. And what I like about that is like, a lot of us in our business, we have a one pillar source of business or referrals, right?
She started with the one pillar, and now she has to.
And now she's still doing the one pillar, but she's also moved in to being intentional. So can you tell us a little bit like how you're working your sphere? What's
social media, honestly, like as I started the journey, into real estate, I kind of just was very open, on like Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram, like all those platforms. So, everybody kind of seen me and a lot of people would tell me, people, don't want to use you right away because you're new. But then once they see, I mean, I post a lot, because I want my friends and my family to see like, okay, she has experience, and I like to put a lot of information on there too, because there is so much that goes into it. So, you want an experienced agent. So I think that's,
I think you're right. And I think the important thing is like, there's so many different avenues, right? Like I was talking to an agent again here recently that their primary source of business comes from two places. One is the PTA at the school where their kids go to school. And I know you have children, but one was the PTA that this agent is involved in the PTA. PTA. Sorry.
Clearly you're not involved.
Yes, clearly I'm not involved with the PTA. So the PTA, and the second one is does a lot of social media, but has incorporated her cat.
Okay.
And so the cat,
she's branded herself with the cat.
Yeah, the cat is named the world's worst real estate assistant. And
I like it.
Like a lot of the real posts about real estate involve like her having conversations with the cat about business.
Very creative. I like it.
And that's where she primarily gets her business is social media and PTA. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people tell me is they like, when I do get clients, that's usually what they tell me is they just like somebody that's relatable. So I can see that, if you're seeing that on social media and it's funny, like, I mean.
Well, you're being transparent and authentic, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what people like to see.
Maybe not appealing to us dog lovers, but okay. We're okay with the cats.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to switch gears on you again. So let's talk a little bit about like disciplines or behaviors. what is like a typical day or week look like for you? Like, what would you say are like, these are the things that I absolutely must do if I'm going to continue to have success in my real estate business?
Answer my phone, which is like, I hate it because I don't have any control over when it rings, but I just have to always answer it. And like we were saying with the leads, like, you don't know, sometimes I'll talk to somebody for like an hour and like, well, no, I don't talk to them for an hour, but I talked to them for a long time and it's not going anywhere. You don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I would say answering my phone and answering people back is literally really all it takes in a way. And then, but it's hard because you got to be committed to that because I mean, it sucks having to step out.
Buyers don't have patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want the answer
A lot of
right
people
away.
do not have patience. And then it's hard because it's like, I might turn out all these transactions, but to each of them, like, this is like the biggest thing. And it's, such a long-term commitment. So they got a lot of questions, everybody's different, but most of the time, you just got to be there to answer your phone.
Yep. So this next question doesn't have a right or a wrong. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm going to center it around, like, do you run your business like a business? Meaning, hey, my work day starts at this time, it ends at this time. I realize there's flexibility involved in it, but is the business running you or are you running it?
That's a good question because up until recently, it's definitely ran me. I kind of went into it knowing like I prepped my kids and my friends and my family for it. Like I'm going all in, like this is going to consume me. I didn't go, up until we went to Grand Rapids, I don't think I took like we went to Miami for like a few days, but outside of that, I took no days off and really no time. From when I wake up till I go to bed, it was like all real estate. So I do like, a year later, I guess, I kind of trying to shift it, like get more balanced with it. So there is more structure. But yeah, to be honest, up until now, it's definitely kind of ran me, but I think with experience, that's something that I'll be able to zone in on.
Yeah,
well, you're committed to buying leads and that's working for you.
Yep.
So in some cases, you're at the mercy of if you get an email or something.
Right. Yeah.
Your store is open all the time, unfortunately, in real estate, and that's when when you hit that time in your business, it's time to start leveraging and bringing on partners and growing a team.
And that's actually like what I'm doing now is just because one thing that I really like about real estate too is there's so much to figure out, and I would say almost everyone that I've done transactions with or met, no matter what brokerage they're at, like everybody's there to help. Like it's crazy. I've never had, any job where it's just like a partnership, everybody's always working together. So, I think that's awesome. And I feel the importance to give back. And I think that's why so many realtors are like that, because everybody's new and you kind of go into it not knowing anything. Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of like mentoring people now. I've only been in it a year, but I'm kind of trying to recruit some people, to work with me, and unload some of the leads onto them. And
getting some leverage, getting growth.
Well,
focus.
You certainly have a success story. So if you have any other friends in the bartending business that want to join real estate,
boom.
We were just talking about 2 weeks ago. Bartenders, right? Phone salespeople.
Yeah, that's like a huge joke about, you work your way up. You're like, go from server to bartender to manager to real estate agent. And
you guys are people, and
and it is. It's customer service, and then you got to deal with. I always like relate it too because when you're waiting on tables and people like just personalities when they're hungry and they're just like in rare form and you deal with them, but then they get their food and they're happy. And that's literally like what
that's right.
Like
I'm signing the deal.
You're so stressed out and it's crazy. You go through all these highs and lows and then it closes and everybody's happy. So
Tommy want wingy.
All right, last question before we wrap up here. We've got to ask, being in Florida, who's your favorite college football team?
Ohio State.
Okay.
The Ohio State.
All right. Nothing wrong with that.
No. No. Hey, listen, Alison, is there anything that you wish we would have asked, or is there anything that you want to share to those who might get a watch or a listen?
Honestly, I would say if there was somebody watching that is going into real estate and kind of doesn't know where to go, I would say the most important thing would be networking. Everybody's so different, but once you find, somebody that can kind of like lead the way for you,
Yep.
I mean, that's going to be the most successful thing you can do is to, kind of find that mentor.
Yeah. So I think that the big three takeaways I took away from spending time with you today were, and I'll share with you, one, the networking was one. Two, finding a mentor was super important. And then the third thing is you were committed to education. So if you go back at the beginning of this podcast, you talked to us a lot about you watched YouTube videos, you found podcasts to watch. You were committed to growing,
Learning the
and
field.
learning the business during that time. And obviously it's paid off for you big time. So congratulations to you on all of your success.
Yeah.
All right. Johnny, anything else to add?
No, I mean, you did a fantastic year. I mean, it's incredible. Look forward to seeing what you do next year.
Yeah, looking forward to
Probably
seeing.
close another 5 deals before we see you in 2 weeks.
She might.
Try. Definitely gonna try.
She might. All right. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast. On behalf of Alison, John Jones, I am Bryan Lovell. And if there's anything that you need, please know we are always here to serve.
Thanks, Allison.